Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks host the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Today, it's a doubleheader starting at 4 p.m. with Jewish Heritage Night. As for this game, the Ferry Hawks will play as the Staten Island Menches. Friday at 7 p.m., it's soccer night, and kids glow around the bases postgame. Saturday at 6:30, it's Broadway night with postgame fireworks and Broadway rave. Sunday at 1:30, it's Military Appreciation Day, and the kids run around the bases.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats. Cats and Cosby
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news, WABC.
As the world turns, I've heard that someplace. Well, today the stock market was up over 1,000 points at one point. It was maybe 1,100 points. And the sun is going to shine for the rest of the century. And President Trump has made a decision. No bombing of Iran tonight, and there'll be peace for the rest of the century.
By the way, you know what's wild, John?
Isn't that nice?
Peace on earth. Peace on earth.
Peace.
Yeah. And goodwill.
Exactly.
I've heard that. I'm going to do something.
Peace on earth and
goodwill toward men. We got to find that. We're working on it. But this is big deal, you guys, because President Trump says that, quote, like a settlement, a deal is essentially in shape, in form, and he was all ready to pound the heck out of him. He used a 4-letter word, but he said that's what he was planning on doing. And then he said, we'll also take Karg, and there's a whole bunch of other things.
According to our intelligence sources last night, we reported it first on WABC.
Yes.
I think we may have Karg already.
Yeah, because he typically does things first.
That gentleman, the general that was with us,
General Blaine Holt.
There's no way you could have shipped out 100 million barrels of oil.
Yep.
If you didn't have Karg.
Right. And he said his intelligence, and let's not forget, you guys, he's also the same guy who had the scoop when the other pilots were down. Do you remember a couple weeks ago? He was ahead of the curve there. So he looks like he may have been here.
Breaking news. A person that's often on my Sunday show, I would say at least once or twice a month, Jay Clayton, has gotten promoted.
I love this. Jay is great. Of course, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, and he's now been nominated for head of Intel. He is the Director of National Intelligence, nominated right now.
What does that mean? That the CIA reports to him? The FBI reports to him?
That's a big position.
Almost every intelligence division reports to him.
9 different intelligence agencies report to him. Each of the military branches has their own intelligence agent. They're all supposed to go to the DNI, and the DNI then briefs the president.
That's
what it's supposed to be.
And you know what's amazing? It's obviously Tulsi Gabbard's position, because remember, she left, her husband was very sick. And so that's been open. So the fact that he picked somebody like Jay, who has a great, impeccable background, great law enforcement background. I mean, to me, that's a great choice.
He's done a great job for New York City. He's coordinated all the federal agencies under the president's guidance and request. And he's made New York City safer, even though all the other things that are going on.
That is a big, big coup, I think, to have him. And you could tell already their reaction has been really positive from Congress on both sides, seem to be at least touting his credentials. It seems to be getting a warm reception.
Jay Clayton is an absolute superb choice for any position. He's a great public servant. He's a brilliant lawyer. He was a great chairman of the SEC, great U.S. attorney in the Southern District. I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job in protecting national security here in this administration.
Yeah, big deal. And very exciting, too, to see that President Trump is picking somebody like that. And you guys, let's go. I understand we have Victoria Coates with us, former Deputy National Security Advisor, calling in.
And let's get what her pulse of the situation is.
Yeah, absolutely. Victoria, what are you hearing of what's going on with a potential deal?
Well, this is a heck of a night, team. It seems like the president really got through to the Iranians with strikes over the last 2 days. They have, according to him, and I have no reason to doubt his word, come to the table with, for the deal that he wants, which is fundamentally the no nuclear weapon. But in addition, the immediate opening of the strait. We haven't heard anything about sort of preemptive sanctions relief for them or unfreezing assets for them. more that they're the ones who are going to have to make concessions. I very much hope that that's true. But if he could get them into that state through those strikes in the last couple of days, and they took him at his word that he was going to go after Karg, they may have decided that that was too much for them, that they could not.
Victoria,
recover.
we had some intelligence yesterday, and we reported it at 6 o'clock, that there's no way that they shipped out 100 million barrels of crude oil in various ships, that there was no way they could ship it out unless we had control of Karg.
Well, I'm not sure that's true. You can go through the Western channels, John, closer to Oman, and the Karg really isn't a military installation.
No, I understand. But by the way, whatever will be if things are good. By the way, we have some other breaking news just right now.
Breaking news, WABC.
I just got this. The $75 billion raised by Elon Musk is officially done and closed.
Wow.
I guess that makes Elon Musk the first trillionaire.
Wow. I think he deserves an applause for that. Where's the applause? Because that certainly deserves it. Wow.
And I said to my son, who's our chief investment officer, he says to me, "Don't worry, Dad. China is going to protect Elon Musk." I said, "Why?" He says, "Well, a lot of those Teslas are built in China."
That's very interesting. Very interesting. And look, he's been hanging around with President Trump a lot lately, too. Obviously, it seems like they're back on the mend.
See how smart he got versus walking away that time?
Yes. By the way, he woke up a lot after that one, I think. You're right.
Victoria, back to you. What do you think? Give us the pulse.
Well, actually, I have something to say about Elon because the Iranian regime threatened him earlier today.
I saw that.
Go after some of his assets in Africa. So what's happened today with Elon is a big, big deal for the United States. No other country, China included, has produced a genius of that value. And, I like the fact that he's starting to pull out of China as much as he can. He's certainly a lot less friendly towards them. That is a good thing. But just for our country, this is just a very big deal. And as I said, China's not producing people like this. Heaven knows Russia and Iran aren't. This is a great moment for America, and congratulations to Elon. So, John, I think getting to this deal goes to a lot of the concerns you've been voicing in recent weeks about not letting this situation do too much damage to the United States, to that strength that just produced Elon Musk. I agree with that. And so if the president got them to the point they were in at the end of the Iran-Iraq war, for example, when they had to make some pretty significant concessions to the Iraqis to get to the end of the war, that's okay with me. And so we'll have to see what's in the deal. We'll have to, make sure the Iranians are complying with the deal. But if he was able to, and it looks like he was, gain that leverage over them and the credibility with them that he would do to them what no previous American president has done, then I think that this is probably a pretty good night for us.
Victoria, too, the other thing that's interesting, I was watching President Trump because, of course, all the reporters were asking him about was this today with this enormous news. And he said, I was really planning to pummel them tonight. And they clearly got the message. There were 49 Tomahawks last night that hit specific targets, mostly radar and air defenses. The thing what our listeners
should understand, we hit all military operations.
Right.
All those bad guys, the RIGC, we hit them, not any civilians.
Yeah, in fact, that's a great point because they're, on the other hand, John, you see them, they're hitting airports, they're hitting indiscriminately. And I found it fascinating that President Trump said just a few minutes ago, and this is interesting, Victoria, that he expects a deal to be signed in a few days. He suggested maybe in Europe that the signing would happen. And he said that it might even happen as early this weekend. And then he brought up the fact that he's in touch with a whole bunch of countries, obviously Israel, Saudi, Kuwait, UAE, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, that they're all on board, that this is like, he has some backing here.
Absolutely. And that was one of the original sins of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA under Obama, is that thing was negotiated by Iran, Germany, the EU, Great Britain, China had a seat at the table, but nobody from the region had a seat at the table. This is a Middle East issue. And if you don't have buy-in, at least from Saudi Arabia, but then you should have a host of others as well, you don't actually have a deal. And so by bringing in the neighbors, the neighbors that Iran has indiscriminately shelled throughout this whole process, President Trump makes sure he has regional buy-in. That's what will make this deal stick. And he's also the only one who has the credibility with all those countries to say, okay, here's what we got. I think it's good for you. I think it's good for us. I think it's good for business. And that would be the energy business. I think that is also a very strong point.
Yeah, great point. Judge Weinberg, go ahead.
So let me ask you a few questions, Victoria. What about the proxies? How do you rein them in? Number two, what about the Iranian people? What happens to them? And number three, what happens in the post-Trump era?
So starting with the proxies, I think this was of great interest to me, Judge, that Lebanon and Hezbollah seem to be off the table. Remember, I'm old enough to remember that 2 days ago, the Iranians were saying, unless we get a ceasefire in Lebanon, that we're not going to go to any deal. And all of those breathless accounts of, tense phone calls between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, and the Israelis kept striking in Lebanon, and it looks like we got to a deal. So somebody stood down, and it looks like it was the Iranians to say, okay, then you use the Israelis to mop up the proxies. And so the Iranians are not in any position to do much about this going forward because they lost their land bridge through Syria. They've lost a lot of their capacity to manufacture the missiles and stuff that Hezbollah needs. So this will become an increasingly easy task for the Iranian people, or maybe for the Israeli army. Then what was the second thing?
The second was the Iranian people.
What about the Iranian people? And the third one, what do you do in a post-Trump era?
Okay,
especially the courageous ones protesting.
Exactly. That's why I just said Iranian people. So for the Iranian people, I think, the critical thing here is how weak the regime looks when we see the details of this deal. Because what has helped them cling to power for these many years is the nuclear threat. That they're somehow going to get a nuclear weapon, and this is going to make them the regional strongman, and the Iranian people should stick with them and suffer. But the problem the regime has, especially if they are going to truly relinquish the nuclear file, is that on top of that, they have an economy they really can't fix. That what has happened to them over the course of this war, on top of what was already happening in December that sent the Iranian people to the streets, is, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I just don't understand how you recover from that. So I think what we need to do, I know the president is not very happy with the Kurds at this point, and I don't know the details of that situation, but there are other potential regional partners like Azerbaijan. They have the largest single minority diaspora in Iran proper, and they've just come off of a successful war with Armenia, so they have a very strong, capable military that is, oh, by the way, quite close to the Israelis. And so Azerbaijan is a potential partner if others in the region want to take concrete action to support the Iranian people. I think that's a very viable option. And then post-Trump, everything's going to hinge on the 2028 election because, Republicans are going to stick with the president's strong line on Iran, doing things to them that no one else has done and getting results for the American people. But what the Democrats do, who knows? So, I would, if the president feels very strongly about this deal, if it is a good deal, then I would really recommend they pass that thing through the Congress as a treaty, or pass it. You can pass it through the Senate as a treaty, or both houses of Congress as a law. You can do it either way.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
It can't be torn up.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, what the stunt that Kerry and Obama pulled by reversing the process for the deal that they created.
Yeah, imagine if you have somebody else like that back in.
We needed 2/3 to reverse. I mean, it was ridiculous, Victoria.
Well, and the other thing in the JCPOA is, remember, that was implemented by the United Nations Security Council. Nobody ever signed anything. it used to make me so mad at General Mattis when you'd be like, oh, we gave our word, we signed. Wait, no, who signed? Who signed what? Nobody signed anything. And the last time I looked, the United Nations Security Council did not supersede the American Congress in U.S. law. So that thing was never ratified. And so if this is the good, strong deal the president wants, I think getting that ratified so everyone, including the Iranians, have some confidence that this thing is going to stick would be very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said, Victoria.
Well said.
Well, let's pray that Monday morning the stock market goes up another 1,000 points.
Yeah.
No one's going to be sad about that, Jeff.
Victoria, remember, I'm the one that predicted the 50,000 by December 31, and I'm the one that predicted 60,000 by December 31, 2026. So let's see. I'm either going to be a liar or successful.
Or a hero.
Or a hero.
Well, let me know what your pick is for the Knicks game.
All right.
After last night, they're going to win.
Yes.
They're going to take it all.
Play ball.
Yeah, that was amazing. Oh,
Yep.
my God. Victoria?
Thank you, Victoria.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Katz and Cosby with John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby. You can hear Katz and Cosby weekdays at 5. It's the 5 o'clock show on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit dyingdollar.com. Request your free gold and silver guide. That's dyingdollar.com.